All right. Hi, everyone. Today we're going to do a full install in this empty cabinet right here. And I've got all these parts that I put in there. This is everything from an extreme kit. So you're going to have the full extreme kit plus the SSF kit as well. So I'm going to do the whole install today. And I hope you get a lot out of this. We're going to start with the buttons, kind of the easiest part of the install. And I'm really just going to start by mounting this button board in place. Okay, so first I'm going to grab the screws that I need for that and some spacers. Put those in place. Got my drill. And first off, just mount these guys in place. Pretty much one screw at a time here. Just going to loosely put them in there initially. I already have pre-drilled holes for these. That may or may not be in the exact right location. So just put the spacers in place and the screws in place. Oops. That's the hardest part really, is getting these spacers in there. Especially when working at an angle like this. Ah! Hey! Put that one in there. I think there was a hole there, but if there's not, it's okay. I'll just make a new one. Okay. And one more spacer I was going to get under here. Okay. Okay, so main button board in place. Very good. Now I'm going to get the flipper boards mounted. Same process for those. I have one that I'm going to put on this side. And yeah, we'll get these are kind of labeled the right flipper out, so we'll make sure and get the right flipper position is on the bottom there. Probably should really have a regular screwdriver for getting these initially on there, but this is going to work. With these little screws, it's almost easier to not have a big heavy drill on there. And then the next one, you can see the remnants of my addressable LEDs here sitting down there, right above it. That's the one kit that I'm not going to install today, although I would like to show a tutorial on that too. Yeah. Alright, so that one's in place. And then we'll get the one on the other side here. So my cables are all on the bottom. This one's got left flipper out. So I'll just make sure that's set up properly like that. Put that guy in. Mount this board in place. Oh. Yeah, I did basically have to take apart my cabinet in preparation of this, so the nice part is a lot of the holes are already still here, so it makes the install a little bit easier. It'd be nice, like probably what you could do if you don't have, if you're doing it for the first time, might be a good idea to lay the board on there and pre-drill your holes. That way all the holes are there for you when you go to mount them. Makes it a lot easier. Now that I have those mounted, it's just a matter of hooking up all the buttons. So we got our RGB buttons first. Inside their holes there. Screw on the mounting brackets. And these are my flippers. The flippers go into button 1. So B1 is labeled right there. And then its RGB plug is right here. That's good. And then I'll do my next RGB button. This side. And again, this button board just makes installing buttons and so much easier than if you had to wire all these up manually. You can just plug them in, and that's it. Making sure my yellow wire is on the plus for those guys. Might be a good idea to tape these in place too. I'll do that later. Now I'm going to do the RGB buttons on the other side. And it's the exact same process. Just put the button in. And I just want to note too, everything you see in this video, the screws and everything, they all come with the kit. And again, I'm looking for B1, which is on the other side there. Yeah. So B1 for that flipper. And there, my MagnaSave, which is right here. And really, you know, this whole button board I put together because when I did my first cabinet, obviously this thing did not exist. And I was trying to run my wires throughout the cabinet, and I realized that took me forever to do. Especially, and I didn't even have RGB buttons. I can't even imagine if I had RGB buttons, how impossible it would be to actually make that happen. So yeah, now having, you know, all these different wires to hook up, if I were to run these wires manually, you're talking hours of work to do that. And you'll see, I'll have this thing all hooked up in just a matter of minutes. All right, so the only important thing you have to do about these, since the plugs are the same, you just need to make sure this is my button, and the button goes on the bottom, and then the LED light goes on the top. So we'll do that. Again, I'm just going to get all these buttons installed here, one at a time. Also be careful not to mix up my button wires. And you'll note that, you know, on this kit, I keep the buttons short, and for the most part, that's okay. If you have a larger cabinet, then you may need to get longer button wires. But I sell extension wires for the buttons, so it's not a problem. This is a 32 width cabinet, so you can see in this particular case, it's completely fine with the shorter button lengths. But if you have like a wide body cabinet with a full large screen, you'll probably need a few of these buttons anyway to have extension wires for them, so make sure and pick those up to ensure that you've got enough length on your wires. So I'd hate you to have to get the whole kit, and then as you're installing it, you realize, oh man, I don't have enough length of my wires now. So that one, and my last button on that side there. Yeah. Again, not too difficult to work, but has to be done. All the buttons have to be wired in. Don't have the holes pre-built for your buttons, then obviously it's going to take a little longer, but most cabinets, if you buy pre-built cabinets, are going to come with everything already, all the holes pre-drilled for your buttons, so it makes it pretty easy in that way. I've got one up here that I'm going to use for my other plunger button, in case I want to fire the ball or shoot the ball. LED. And this one will just always be on, because these sides over here, these are the always on LEDs over here. I've got phase 2 remaining. This one goes in. Again, just gotta make sure that I'm putting the switch in the right place, LED in the right spot. If you do mess it up, nothing bad will happen. It just won't work initially. So, it's not a thing. The Pin 1 board is real nice in that it won't, doesn't matter if you wire the buttons up incorrectly. And the KLZ was really tricky about that. If you messed it up, you could fry your KLZ. But from this newer board that I designed, you don't have to worry about that. All right. So all my buttons are plugged in. The only one I don't have done is the fire button. And that's because I can't install that until I get the top plate in there. So no problem there. The next thing I'm going to do now is the plunger. So got my plunger here and the wires that go with it. I already have the piece mounted. It'll come like that, already mounted for you. You're just going to put that into its position there. Put the mounting plate into position and screw it in place. Comes with these screws, and the mounting plate. And usually just initially just get the screws in there, don't tighten them down yet. But I'm wondering if I should have done the plunger first before I did the buttons or not. I don't know. Not a big deal. Not too hard either way. All right, plunger's mounted, and now the actual mounting plate that'll go on top. This is another tricky one. You need a little screwdriver for it. Get that real quick. And it's got these really small mounting screws. I'm going to put them on the board first, so they're resting on the board, and then place that board right over the holes for it to mount on, and then start the first one, and then start the second one, and once they're started, it's easy. Then slide the plunger piece in there, screw them both on. All right, plunger's installed. Now I just have to plug it in. So again, this cord comes already pre-built for you, so you just gotta plug it in there. I already have mine zip tied. You might choose to zip tie yours or not. And then plug it in under here, just like that. So now my plunger should be all set. And as I mentioned, these wires might want to do something with, because they're going to be close to the plunger there. So, getting a zip tie and tying them up like that is going to be a good idea. I'm going to grab one real quick, actually. Kit does not come with zip ties, so those you'll have to provide yourself if you want to tie these wires up better than what they are already. But yeah, if you have a wide body cabinet, this might not be a problem. There we go. That looks a little better. Now I don't have to worry about the plunger getting hung up on those wires, so that's good. All right, and you can see the rest of the wires are here, and they already look really clean, actually. I mean, you could zip tie them or put them in sheathing to make them even cleaner, but that's not a bad look already. So the next thing I'm going to do is install this guy. This is a little bit different from what you'd actually get, but it's close enough. See, the board is mounted a little bit sideways on there. That's because this is just something that I had laying around. I didn't want to use a customer's part for it, so I used my own. But no big deal. We're going to put it there, and I'm going to find a place to plug this in. Yeah, it makes me want to fix that mounting, but it's all right. I'll leave it as is. And I also need... Well, I won't worry about the USB cord I've got back there somewhere. I'll find that another time. But decide where this is going to go approximately. And then I'll plug in my button wires. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking to myself, it would be cleaner if it was mounted straightforward. So I'm going to just do that real quick. Because usually, when I ship these out, it's normally going to be the other way. It's going to be like this. I think this wire is long enough. Yeah. I kind of like it that way more anyway. So might as well put it that way. So there we go. 2 is enough for now. So now I've got this guy. It's plugged in. I think that's approximately where I'm going to have it. And you know what I'm going to do? This doesn't need to run on there. It can run along the outside instead. It's not sitting on top of there. All right, so cool. That'll go there. I'll get my wires now for the button boards. So I'll send this guy, and there's 16 band. So this is going to go to the button board outputs. Plug that guy in there. And my button board outputs are over here. And then same goes for the button outputs, which are right here. So I got those guys all made up. And again, you know, if you want to clean this up a little more, then you can easily do so. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. See here. Should be some. I'll use some regular tape for that. I'm gonna just take this guy. There we go. And another one. Oh, break. Just so it's not flopping all around. Good. That's plugged in. And so now all of our buttons should actually be completely plugged in with this pin 1 board at this point. The next thing I'll do is the shaker. And so this guy, let's see, probably put him right around there. And then I'll plug in right here. Shaker's very easy. But put this anywhere I want, really. I'm going to leave it free for now. I'll probably mount it later. But just depending on how things go on this install, I'll just keep it free for right now. So that's that. The next thing are the solenoid bars. So I've got 2 here, and I need to decide where these are going to go in the cabinet. I'm going to keep these a little bit lower. Could mount them higher, but I think I'm going to keep them low, and that way I'll have space for my SSF speakers when I do those. So let me get these guys installed here. And again, I'll keep this side is going to be for the flipper. It's important when you mount these that you keep them nice and tight to the cabinet. That'll ensure that you get good feedback. So you want to, I just back the screw off a little bit. and then screw it in. And you can see there's no gap on the panel. That'll ensure that the sound from the solenoids transfers onto the side of the cabinet real nicely. Well, that's that side. And I'll mount the other side. And you see I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe I'll move that shaker motor out of the way a little bit. I'll mount this guy here. Okay, it's that one. And one more screw on this side right here. Okay. All right, those are mounted in there good. Yeah. Yep, nice and solid in there. And looks good so far. So I got my flipper and my slings mounted. I'll go ahead and plug those in. Yeah, that should have two plugs for these guys. So I'll go ahead and plug the first one in. And you can write, it's actually labeled here, right sling, right flipper. So I plug that in there. And then this one is my left sling and my left flipper. That is going to go right here. And again, you know, we can clean this up just a little bit with some zip ties. Back in more. Just to keep things looking at least fairly nice, now that we have it mounted. Since we don't need all that wire length. And then again, same for this side. We'll do the same thing. Not a good zip tie. Yeah. All right. Very nice. Probably should have zip tied that one a little more, but it's all right. It's looking good so far. Now we need the cross beams for the solenoids. I think makes sense for me to do that next. So here's my next set of solenoids. And for these ones, I actually have this setup. They're exactly the right length width for this cabinet. The only thing I'm going to do is just put a couple of mounting brackets on here. And really, you'd usually mount these to a piece of wood. But for the sake of the video, I'll just do it this way. It'll still work. And I think it would sound objectively better if it was mounted to an actual plank of wood. But yeah, I might be surprised at how well that actually sounds. Let's see. So got more screws here. These L brackets are not going to come with the kit, but you know, like I said, usually you'd have a piece of wood to mount them onto or something like that. In this case, we do not have that. So you can just mount them across the side there. But looks nice, that's for sure. And then another set here. That will mount. Let's see here. Maybe, yeah, further towards the back of the cabinet. Kind of like that. And I'll do the same thing for this. Install some braces on there. And I have mentioned in the past too that you don't. This is the kind of the ideal way to set them all up. It's not required to do it in the ideal way, but if you have the space in the cab, then you might as well do it this way, and that way you'll have a nice, the solenoids will be positioned properly in the cabinet. I don't think most of the time your cabinet's never going to be perfectly ideal, but this can get you pretty close to it. And so that's actually mounted really nicely, really securely on there, actually, so that's cool. If I wanted to increase the sound dispersion, I could add a piece of plywood across here and mount that to it, and it will help to get the sound across because this material is a little bit dampening. But really, when you look at it, looks pretty nice. All right, so now I need to plug these in. So there we go. And these are the mid ones, so you can see it's labeled middle, left, right. And I don't know if you got a view of that, but right here it's labeled M, ML, MC. And so that's the middle row that goes right there. And then there's the back row. Oh, you know what? I think I had 2 lengths of wire here. Oh no, they're the same. Okay, never mind. Hopefully this will be long enough. Hard to see where this one plugs in. There we go. That guy. Oh yeah, we're good. We got plenty of length. There's my back. Now I gotta plug this in again. I thought they were 2 different lengths, but they're not. And my mids. All right, cool. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll just zip tie this one up once again to make sure the wires aren't going all over the place. Good. Okay. There we go. You can do as much or as little as you want when it comes to zip tying these things, but we have 10 solenoids installed. We have all our buttons installed. We have our plunger installed. We need to secure, I think now we can probably secure our shaker down. Just kind of thinking, I like the shaker to be more in the front of the cabinet, so kind of thinking I'll mount it right here. I think that'll be good. Because it's nice when it does that sideways wobble. It'll end up moving the cabinet real well. So I think that's a good place for it. It's still not in the way of anything. Got plenty of space in here still. Yep, so I'll screw this guy in now. See if I can... a little low on space for the drill. There we go. And another screw. And we'll have 4 screws. Very nice. Last thing we need to mount is our actual board here. This doesn't need much. Pretty much put the screws wherever you want, but you just want to make sure that it's not going to be moving around, so that when you go ahead and nudge your cabinets, the accelerometer is going to be mounted on that. That way when you nudge your cabinet, it'll move appropriately. You might even, see it's like a little bit loose on there. That might not be a bad thing, because that way a little tiny nudge isn't going to do any damage, or isn't going to affect it too much. Okay, so that looks nice. Another thing we have is the service board. So that's this guy. I'm going to go ahead and mount this next. You can get a good look at that. It comes with these angle mounting brackets, and I'm going to just mount it on the front of my cabinet. I think a T-screw that it comes with. This is that. once again, you can go ahead and mount these wherever you want in your cabinet. But I'm going to just kind of position that under here. Go. And then it comes with a 1 meter cable. Oh, I made a mistake there. Just think I can reach that cable on. There we go. So plug the cable in. Like so. There we go. And then I just need to route the service board cable inside of my cabinet, which I already have a hole drilled for it right here. And then it's going to plug in right there. And then, yeah, now I just have a bunch of extra wire. So once again, I'm going to this one. Oh, what did I do with my tape? Oh, there it is. Oh, I knocked it off. I remember I heard that myself knock something off of the cabinet. And I was like, what was that? No, it was my tape. Bang. So that would have done a very good job. Tape. Get some in that. You might even want to secure it better to the top. This will be good enough for right now. You know, that you might want to get some like tie straps and actually tie it up there. I would say for sure you'd want to do that. Or you could, also have it run inside the cabinet. But I think for now, that'll work. I don't have anything to tie it down at the moment. Probably those zip ties with little screw holes in them would work nicely. All right, so service board's installed. This is securely mounted. And we need to do the light bar now. For the light bar, you get this expansion board. So the only thing I need to do is mount this expansion board to the floor of the cabinet. Shall need get some spacers and some screws. And I want to make sure that I've got that it's close enough to my board to be able to plug in that 4-pin plug, which I think right there will be good. Good enough for that. All right. And then what I'll do is I'll just take my screw. Oh boy, can I fit this? It's getting a little tight in here now. Yeah. Should have mounted it first. It's one of the spacers. Yeah, it's going in a little bit of an angle there, but that's okay.
Side.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, if I wanted to. I feel like putting all 4 in there, so I'm just going to do it. There's that one. Spacers aren't that hard when you're doing, on a vertical surface. Loosen this one just a tiny bit too, since it was done at an angle. Then one more screw there.
Just gonna take this apart.
It's nice and tight. All right, and there's a 4-pin cable that's going to connect this guy up. So I'll take that, my ground from here, and my ground to here. That's that 4-pin cable. And then it needs power. And I've got power coming from here. Again, the kit will kind of come with this extra power wire to connect onto there. All right. And then the light bar, it comes with a 2-meter cable, which is way longer than we need in this case. But it's okay. We'll plug that guy in here. It's going to be a little bit tricky getting that plugged in initially. Try the other end, actually. There we go. Plugged in there. And then my light bar is going to go right there. Oops. Like I said, 2 meters is way too long. I mean, it's good if you're running it up to the top of your cabinet, but in this case, it's definitely too long. Okay. And that just plugs into the expansion board. And I think that does it for an extreme kit. It's all installed. The only thing we have left now is I do have a knocker that I could install, which, you know, I might as well. I've got it here. Show you how you would install this knocker. Here's the actual knocker itself. We need this to, when it goes up, to hit against a piece of wood or something. I'm trying to think, let's see, what would be an easy one to make it hit? Probably, I could even just make it hit like, you know, something inside of the cabinet like that. I could have it go up and down. Nice part about this one is it's got a spring on it, so it can go in any direction. I think ideally it'd be inside of the, on the very back of the cabinet. I think that's gonna be too hard for me to get to right now, though. Actually, you know what? That'll work pretty nicely. I'll put it right there. Yeah, that makes a real nice knock. All right, that's where it's gone. So let me install the knocker. When it hits a piece of wood, it's going to make the best sound. So you want to try and get it hitting the piece of wood if you can. And of course, the longer the throw, the better too. So stick with that nice long throw. Try and get it perpendicular to the back plane there. Did an okay job. Oop.
Yes, my lights out there.
All right, good. That'll make a nice knock. Got that guy there. And again, it comes with a long wire because I don't know if you're going to be installing this in your back box cabinet up there or just on the side of the cabinet like I just did. Because we're just installing on the side of the cabinet, there's definitely too much wire there. And where did I put the actual wire? Oh, I already put it on the, I already put it there. Now for this, I need to run power to it, which means I'm going to have to get into here because there's only, you know, the extreme kit really is only going to come with 2 power lines. If you buy the knocker with it, we will hook it up for you, but I'm going to show you how you'd add it after the fact. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to double up these spade terminals on the positive and negative on here. So now I've got another set of wires on that power supply. And I can run this over to my knocker board where it says 12 volt in. That's where that's going to go. And the knocker's going to plug into the output side. Then I should have somewhere around here. What did I do with that other wire? Oh, here it is. A 4-pin wire, because we got USB ground and the knocker, and that goes into the signal input right here. So that's that. I'm trying to think of where I should put this thing. I think it might be a little better over here. It's closer to everything. Yeah. Starting to run out of space a little bit in here, but still looking really pretty good when you think about all the gear that's going in here. It's pretty amazing, actually. I'm going to unplug this temporarily, so it's not in my way. And I'm going to move this a little bit closer to the front of the cab so I don't run into that problem I had originally, where I was put screws in sideways. I don't know, I'm probably still going to have to put the screws in sideways. We'll see, though. Yeah, that's definitely better than last time. Screw. It's got it. Just lift it up a little bit. I can get that guy in. Oh, it's a little tight there. Takes that guy out for a second. There we go. I am back. Oh, this is a little bit of an older style knocker board, but it'll still work just fine. Oh, I had one more, didn't I? Okay. Very nice. Knocker's installed. Oh wait, we gotta plug everything back in. So this guy is gonna go right here. This guy is gonna go right here. I probably should put another screw in there, shouldn't I? I'll go ahead and do that. Or it's just a little too loose for me. There we go. All right. And then the last thing we need to do is a couple of zip ties. All right. Got a zip tie here. And because this guy is way too long. Now I am wishing I had zip ties with the little screw tabs on them. It would be nice to be able to fasten these onto the side of the wall and stuff. But that's okay. Like I said, still looks real nice. Now we have our knocker installed too. And that, I think that does do it. That's everything that we need to install. The only thing I didn't do is the RGB fire button, but I'm going to do that a little bit later. So next thing we're going to do is the SSF kit. And I'll jump on and do that a little bit later, but I hope you guys really enjoyed that first part of the install. That's the whole thing. I mean, that is a full extreme kit installed. As you noticed, it didn't take that long, less than an hour, and I put every component in there. I mean, that was from a complete bare cabinet to something that looks like this, which actually looks pretty nice. It's pretty clean without a whole lot of effort. So hope you all enjoyed that and hope you got a lot out of it. and I'll see you next time. All right, a couple of things I wanted to make sure I add in here. Forgot to plug these guys in, so go ahead and do that real quick. This is for the connection to the flippers. There's my one side, and then my other side. Pretty simple, but wanted to make sure it was there. And then one last thing to do, and that is for the RGB fire button. So we'll do that right now too. Just so you can see it all complete and done. And this guy, again, just being careful to put it in the right way. You can barely see down in there, but is that? I think I got my plus right. Yeah. Yeah, that goes to the plus. And there we go. So that would complete the entire install now. And now I'm going to move on to the SSF kit, which I'm going to move this a little bit. Maybe like that to be able to get this all installed. Now the first thing I'm going to do, we have more on this side, so let me see stuff moved out of the way here. This is for the SSF kit. We need to get our power supply added in here, which I also need to make sure that this power supply can plug in somewhere, which I've got an open outlet right there, so nice. And then our cord is going to come down into here. And we're going to want to mount the SSF amplifier, which is right here. This is actually pretty easy to install. There's 4 tabs for you to screw it in the top of a cabinet. One really nice thing about this is that you can see it's labeled on the top, and it's also labeled on the bottom. So even when it's mounted on the cabinet, you'll still be able to look up from underneath and see where to plug everything in. It's also handy in that if you want to mount it the other way, you can take this top off and put it on the bottom, and then the bottom plate will go on the top, and you'll still see all the labels. They're on both sides of all the panels on here. So you can mount it either way, but because it's nice to have access to all the knobs, it's good to mount it on the bottom of the cabinet, which I'm going to do right now. So, let's see, I'm going to need my screwdriver and some screws to melt this up. So I'm going to do that right now. It's just a matter of finding a place for it and screwing it on. So I'm going to put this towards the front as much as possible. One screw. Should be good enough. Okay, screw. 2 and 3 and 4. All right, cool. And then I can just plug this into the back, and we have power. And then the next thing I got to put under here is the sound card. And so on the sound card, we have our front, left, and right. That's going to go you might not be able to see this, but that'll go into the speakers. And then our side will go into our back and our rear into the front. That's a little confusing, but that's kind of how it goes. I have it labeled. If you look in my documentation for this, then you'll see how those actually plug in to the amplifiers. So you'll be able to see that when you actually look at it. And then of course, plug in the USB and mount that up there. It comes with double-sided tape. I mounted a couple little brackets there, and you can just, that way I could just slide it in place. And then there's one more thing to mount up underneath there, and that is the bass shaker. So I'm going to do that right now. So I already have 4 screw holes for this. I try and reuse them if I can. And another nice part about this is you only need 1 bass shaker for this new kit, because it combines the channels from all 4 SSF speakers into 1 bass shaker output. All right, so I'll get that installed up in here. 1 more screw right here. All right, and we are all set. Just plug it in. That is going to go to the shaker, which is labeled. Again, so nice that I have all my labels right there. I can see them perfectly from any angle. And there we go. All right, so that's done. And now we have, if you look over here, I've got my amplifier set up with all my volume controls for the speakers. The front volume and back volume. The front and back will be for your SSF front and back, and then the speaker will be for your back box speakers. And the only thing left to do now that I've installed all that is install the actual SSF speakers themselves. You'll have 4 of these coming with your kit. And all you gotta do is screw them in or stick them on. And that's it. I'm gonna get some screws for these. And the only thing to think about with these is where they're going to go, making sure that you can spin them around appropriately when you screw them on. So they come with these little mounting plates. You're going to screw them in place. They actually have little, what did I do with all the screws? I just brought them over here. Yeah, there. They have holes already drilled for the screws, and then there's double-sided tape in there too. I had some old ones on here that I had to remove so that I could show this video again. But then you just, once you have that mounted, you just screw in place like this. And you know, that's a pretty good location for them. You might want them a little further forward, but for ease of installation, I'm just going to put them right there. In reality, you're not going to notice, you know, a big shift in presence from, you know, an area about that large. So anywhere within that realm is going to be just fine. I can see it's kind of just right above that speaker there, or that solenoid. So I'll do the same thing on this side so that they're uniform. And in this case, I'm not going to take the tab off. Let's see here. I'll just try and get it at least somewhat close to where the other one was. As I mentioned before, though, it's not going to make a big difference. If you're within the similar location, then I don't know if anyone could really tell the difference, but I don't know. If you're a purist, you probably could. There we go. That one's ready to go. Stop here. And then my speaker. And I'll mount it in place. There we go. So I got my two SSF speakers mounted. And I just have to do the two back speakers. And like I said, you won't notice in a space about this big, but of course you will notice between the front and the back speakers. And that's why it's nice to have the kit with 4 speakers to have that kind of spatial awareness inside your cabinet. It's not going to be quite as much as what you get with 10 solenoids, but it'll still be pretty decent. And for these ones, again, you think about your play field. You're going to have your play field, the pop bumpers will be around this location, and so that's where you want to put the speakers, just right around that similar kind of location. Yeah, put that in there. The one disadvantage to not taking the sticky backing off is that when you go to put the screws in, it like wants to spin around. It's kind of hard to prevent that from happening. And one more. Just be careful with these little tabs. You can break them off pretty easily while you're installing them, so just be careful not to do that. I'll go ahead and screw this one on so it's not my way at all. There we go. And this one right here, I'm going to put in around the same location as the other one. Right about here looks good. That one we have there we go. Very tight on that, sure. That's I'll tighten it up. It's hard to get those threads on. They're small threads. There we go. Okay. So the last thing to do is just wire it all up. So I've got my 2 rear speakers. And again, I'm going to do this one at a time so that I don't mess this up. I'm going to feed in my cables. This one will be my right rear, and it should be a label on these saying which one's plus and minus. Cups. Oh yeah, they're marked red, but the red, if you look, is actually underneath on these. So it's a little hard to see, but the red one is going to be your positive. So now that I see that, I can say, okay, the red one is on this one. It's so hard. It's so easy to forget. I'm like, flip myself out. I was like, is that the one, the red one? Yeah, okay, it's the one under the 40 watt. So the 40 watt is there. That's my red. So I'm gonna plug it in. These are a little bit hard to get off once you plug them in. So again, just be aware of that. Okay, I'm gonna get one shot at it. And then I'm gonna go underneath here. And I'm gonna plug it in to my back right. And the plug is right there. Again, it's nice that the labels are there, plug's there. And I'll do the same thing for this one. I'm gonna feed it up into here. These come pre-wired, so you don't have to cut any of the wires or do anything like that. You just literally can just run them right to their spot and plug them in. If you want to, of course, you can cut them. If you want to have like a perfect fit of your wires and keep things a little cleaner, that's definitely possible. Again, now this one goes into the back left. And our rear speakers are plugged in. Now I just need my frets. So here again. And my positive goes here. Negative goes here. I just unscrewed it a little bit so it's easier for me to get to the terminals. Something you might want to think about when you put this on is screw it on first and maybe mark where you want it so that when you tighten it up, your terminals are all facing down. That would certainly be nicer to have the terminals facing the right way. This is my front. But so I got that one. And then last one. It's going to come across here. And my positive. And my negatives. Yeah, this one's like going straight up. Oh well. And then my front left. Plug that in. Right. So the only thing left to do now would be your back box speakers. And this also has an output for a sub. So if you want to hook up a subwoofer up to it, you can do that too. I already have my back box speakers kind of plugged in and ready to go, so I can just plug these in here. Speaker left. And speaker right. So those are plugged in now. And I don't have a sub in the system at this time, although I'd like to add one. I don't know where I put it. Probably have to put it back here somewhere, or maybe push this forward or put it someplace else. But there is a subwoofer output on here with a separate sub control, so you can have that subwoofer hooked up as well. But you can see, now my SSF is installed. So this is a full setup, full kit with SSF and 10 solenoids, all your lighted outputs, light bar. I didn't plug in these strobes, but these strobes you can also purchase separately. They plug into the bottom of the light bar. And the last thing to do, I guess, would be addressable LEDs. Addressable LEDs are really simple as well. You literally just plug in, these strips, plug in these back plates, which I don't have secured right now, and then you're good to go. I might show that later, but hope you enjoyed that. And boy, I hope you all got a lot out of that, seeing how easy it is to install SSF in your system as well. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Bye.